Welcome back. A dead phone, a commissioner in over his head, and a ridiculous .75 PPR. 1 year after one of the most shocking moments in fantasy sports, we revisit that fateful evening with many of the key players. And for the first time ever, we'll see behind-the-scenes footage from that very evening, taken by the Ringer's social media team, promised to never see the light of day. My name is Larry Wilmore, and this is the worst fantasy football draft of all time.
How are you feeling about the draft?
I'm so pumped. I love fantasy football. We're all going to be together in that room. I can't wait. I'm so pumped. One of my favorite days of the year.
The expectation, at least mine going in, was that we would have a fun, exciting draft and, get to talk a little trash playing fantasy football.
I was a driving engine behind organizing the league in the first place. I need to be in multiple fantasy football leagues. I need to be in multiple fantasy baseball leagues. I'm in an AL-only keeper league, for Christ's sake.
It was a $100 buy-in, so the prize pool I think was something like $750 to first place.
We had a lot of interest going into the league last year, so much interest that people actually had to split up teams.
We are the only Irish people at the Ringer, other than Sean Fennessy, but he's a little elitist.
I was the angel investor in the team, the seed money. I was Robert Mays' seed.
When I saw they were gonna have a co-owner, I took the opportunity to ask someone I knew a little bit, in Ryan O'Hanlon, who's turned out to be a good work friend.
My name is Ryan O'Hanlon. I'm a senior editor at The Ringer. I think Colin and I have always gotten along, and I think we looked at this as a way to sort of deepen the bond that was growing between the two of us, deepen our friendship.
I mean, I'm just really excited. I think things are gonna go really smoothly, and I think it's gonna be a really good draft. I'm freaking pumped.
Sean, go ahead and have a seat. Sean?
The way I remember it is 2 weeks before the draft, I got a Slack message from Haley O'Shaughnessy saying, "We think you're the best fit to be commissioner of the Ringer Fantasy Football League."
You asked Sean you?
Yeah,
I legit did not know that.
They didn't have to agree.
Sean, you shouldn't run a fucking electric toothbrush. Why we let him do stuff here is a fucking mystery.
Sean is a nice, simple guy.
And at the time, it seemed like, oh, what a kind and generous person.
'Cause I'm chopping broccoli. Chopping.
Now, in hindsight, what I realize is that he's a fascist. Tell me I misunderstood those Slacks, and that Sean Yu did not just indicate that he is at home. Why are no other people here?
I thought it was strange to not have anything in person.
Just leaving the office, about to get into the first Ringer Fantasy Football Draft.
All of these other people had way more important things to do than draft a fantasy football team.
I have a son. I have responsibilities in my life.
I was not gonna be there, but I thought this was gonna be an easy peasy draft.
No, I went home. And I think that I had plans that night.
That night was the night of Jordan's birthday, so we had booked a reservation in advance.
It would have been weird for me to be invited to that dinner, so I wasn't upset about it.
I'm almost positive I had asked the group on Slack, "Hey, is anyone planning to draft from the office?"
Did anybody say no?
I don't know.
The answer is no. Where's the commissioner? Where's the food? Where are our colleagues? Isn't this draft night?
I feel like I don't have the same amount of pain associated with this moment as most people do because I didn't expect pizza.
Every fantasy football draft that we've ever done, for this office or any office in recorded human history, people have come together. Boxes full of bread and cheese and sauce, alcoholic beverages, joy, anger, the stew of life. Do you know what we had instead? Me in a fucking empty room with Zach Cram and Paolo.
Overall, it still seemed like the draft would run fairly smoothly. We had a set time, everyone was aware. It seemed like it would be fine.
It was planned extremely poorly, and that's leaving aside the fact that the scoring was just bizarre.
There were definitely some red flags heading in.
Entering the draft, when you would need to know what the scoring was so that you could structure your team around the point system, people were still asking questions, specifically about PPR.
There was a debate about whether it should be half PPR or full PPR.
And then Sean just decided on his own to do 0.75 PPR. Literally nobody supported that idea.
I thought 0.5 was a little too basic, and I think this league has higher standards than that.
I've played fantasy football for a fair number of years now and have never heard of that even being an option.
Like, how am I supposed to value a guy if I'm getting 3/4 of a point per reception? What am I supposed to do with that?
We got points for the most absurd things, and we lost points for even weirder things. It was like, did you wipe your ass successfully today? Great, here's a point.
You got points for a longer field goal, points for 40-yard plays, points if your defense made a 4th down stop.
Did you accidentally use single ply instead of double ply? That's a half-point deduction. It was that kind of shit. Madness.
That means it's time to draft. Let's go!
Obviously, the first couple picks went the way that we thought that they would.
I selected David Johnson with our first overall pick.
Our team took Le'Veon Bell at 2, and then Ruby took Julio Jones, and I think it was around there that it started to unravel.
AJ Green was supposed to be our pick. As I went to select AJ Green by clicking the button that says select AJ Green, it was just like running into an invisible door.
Any co-owners who didn't have the email of the original owner was not able to make a pick.
Ryan O'Hanlon could not make a pick. I think he auto-drafted Jay Ajayi, which was not someone that anyone intended to be taken in the first round of the draft, ever.
I assumed the world was ending based on the amount that my phone was buzzing.
Did I reach out to Colin knowing that he was at a birthday dinner with his beloved? I did.
When I saw there were missed texts from Ryan, I honestly thought he was like trying to find us or like come to dinner with us.
I thought I did a pretty good job balancing between the very important birthday meal and the fantasy draft. I'd say it was probably 90-10, maybe 85-15.
No?
Which way?
Ryan O'Hanlon was locked out. Claire was locked out.
That's when the rails started to come off, yes.
I'm miserable. This is...
Did you know the rules to this league going into it?
Yeah, I believe so. Played fantasy football for many years.
How can you say that if you didn't know that co-owners couldn't draft for their own teams?
Sure.
It descended into madness very quickly. People were confused, people were angry, people felt betrayed, there was no clarity, there was no leadership.
There's so many people to blame. Just a lack of communication, a lack of respect. It was a disaster in every way, shape, and form.
This is insane. What a mess.
So we decided to start over in the draft, but there were still issues.
The draft restarts. I click with more vigor than I've ever clicked a mouse, and nothing changes. I'm not going to be able to say the name without tearing up.
Jay Ajayi.
And then it became not even an issue of whether we should stop the draft or restart the draft, but whether we should just delete the entire league and start over.
I said we should stop the draft and I'll start anew.
That gets me, because my team was off to the races.
I cannot believe this is the 3rd time we're starting this draft. Did I not suggest an email draft originally?
The good news is the draft after multiple starts is back. We're doing an email draft. The bad news is everyone in the office hates me.
We cancel the league and we go to the next best option, which is an email draft, which is a disaster.
The thing crashed 15 times. We had to do the draft over email, which is a joke. It was a mess.
So we start the email draft. Megan and Chris take David Johnson again. I take Le'Veon Bell again. And now Ruby's up. And we're waiting. And we're waiting.
And when Ruby wasn't answering her phone, and it was just like a lull in this draft, I was just like, this is gonna last forever.
And it did.
It lasted forever.
And so what happens is Katie Baker actually ended up tweeting at Ruby's husband.
Literally tweeted at him in the open, not even a DM, tell your wife to charge her phone.
And she finally does. She takes Julio Jones like she did the first time. And we get that moving again.
No. This is a joke, right?
Okay, for real, that was terrifying.
Ooh, Mallory?
Yeah.
Ryan did not just take AJ Green, who I took twice in both aborted drafts. There was a record of some of the early round picks, including mine. I selected AJ Green twice with the 10th pick. You want to know who wasn't available when we started drafting via email? AJ Green. You want to know who took him? Ryan O'Hanlon, the fucking Judas of TheRinger.com. They even know who both picked.
I have to give her some props. I feel like that there wasn't a murder that night is really a step in the right direction, because it could have gone a lot worse than it did.
My answer's not going to be different until the circumstances are different. You want an Instagram story? You want an Instagram story? Get me some pizza!
There's no morality, there's no ethics to drafting a fantasy football team. If there are, you're never going to win your league. And isn't that the point?
I think when you start a young company, there's so much anxiety and there's so much frustration around, will this work? Will people discover what we're building? And you never know what's really gonna happen. But it wasn't until the day of this draft that I was really concerned that we had made a grave error and that we had launched something that was a pox upon the world.
The next day, things picked back up. There were obviously snags because people have lives and work and could not be sitting around their emails all day waiting for their turn to draft.
We're still doing this like a day later? I'm in different clothes, I've taken 2 showers and I've slept, and we're still drafting?
It's like you think you're gonna get to climb a mountain. But instead of climbing a mountain, you fall into a hole. And every time you look up, hoping to see just a glimmer of sunlight, the only thing you see is another stupid slack from Sean Yu. That's what it felt like. My recollection, and again I've repressed as much of this as possible, is that the entire draft experience took north of 38 hours.
I mean, 38 hours is a really long time already. This was an excruciating 38 hours.
How'd you feel once it ended? What was the feeling?
Relief. No one wants to draft for 3 days. Come on.
I wouldn't even know how to put it into words. Mostly because I've never played fantasy football before, and I haven't since. And I didn't during that time.
I like to look at it as we all won the league as a group. But yes, technically I did win.
Sean Yu, not only did he organize this crappy draft and create ridiculous, arbitrary rules that were inconceivable to the rest of the league, then he ended up winning at the end of the year.
Of course he won the league. Nobody else even understood how the league worked.
I didn't think it was like maniacal or like a master plan or anything, and then they won, and it just made me think like,
Maybe.
yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it was.
Where's the Michael Cohen to fucking rat out Sean Yu? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is highly irregular.
It certainly hasn't brought me closer to anyone. I haven't gained any respect for any of my colleagues. And I know that Colin's wife's birthday is coming up and I haven't been invited.
Oh, thank you for watching our program. If someone you love is playing in a .75 PPR fantasy football league, seek help. I'm Larry Wilmore. Good night, Lee.
All right, man. That's all the questions for now.
That's it?
Yeah. Thanks for doing it.
It's harmless.
I appreciate it. Yeah, no problem.
We're good?
Yeah, I think we're good. Let's take lunch.
I mean,
Yeah?
this might go off then.
Okay.
Thanks,
All right,
guys.
guys. Let's go. Let's bounce.
Thanks, guys. Take it easy. Those idiots. I got them. Took all their money too. 0.75 PPR. 0.75. Are you kidding me?